Hello everyone and welcome to Don't Be Bored. This month is a really quick best of the month. There's only a few of us on the show this month to tell you what game we have enjoyed the most in the last month. Now, for me, there was UK Games Expo, which meant a load of games played. But there's one that really stood out for me and I'm just keep thinking about it over the last sort of month. Since I managed to get my hands on the game, I've absolutely loved Star Wars Unlimited. I know technically it's not a board game, it's a collectible card game, but you know, it all sort of fits in. I've got now 6 different decks. I'm not going to say they're competitive, but I've got like the 2 starter decks of Luke versus Vader. I've got a Cassian Andor, a Chewbacca deck, a General Tarkin deck. I've got a Boba Fett deck. And I've sort of made these and they're sort of semi-thematic, like in the Boba Fett one. It's much more underworldy and that sort of stuff. Cassian's got loads more rebels in it. You've got the sort of imperial stuff in Tarkin's deck. So I'm really enjoying like building probably very bad decks, but I've enjoyed playing the game as well. I've now been able to teach it to a handful of people, not always winning when I've taught them, which I think that means I've taught them well, right? It's not that I play badly or anything, but I like the way the things combo together, and it's sort of a really cool game system that you don't need to go and build decks. If you want to be competitive, yeah, you probably do. But if you just want to play with friends, go and get the starter set. The tokens aren't great. The map, paper thin board that comes with it just to help you on your first few plays is awful. But the actual decks are constructed in really fun, balanced ways that you can play the battle between Luke and Vader out over and over again and have a lot of fun. And I'm already pre-ordered the Moff Gideon versus Mandalorian set starter pack, which is again 2 more decks that have been specially crafted by the sort of Fantasy Flight team. I think I'm going to be playing this one for a while now, so I'll probably bang on about it a little bit more, but that's enough of me. Let's see what some other people picked.
Hi, I'm Julian and this is Libby, and together we make up Boxed Meeples. Well, to be honest, May has been a bit of a busy month for us with various, big life-changing events happening. But we have managed to get some games to the table.
We have indeed. And for me, this month, my favourite game will have to be Castles of Burgundy. And of course, it's the newest special edition by Awaken Realms. I mean, this is such a great puzzly game anyway, but the gorgeousness of this new edition just hikes it up another level. We managed to play with some friends and those lovely castles, the actual kind of pieces there, and all of that colourfulness. I thought actually the sort of things like the player guides and things like that actually made it a lot easier than I had remembered when we played it in the past as well. But a really lovely puzzle and interesting when you kind of are saying, oh, you're after ships, are you? Or there's 3 pigs there. Interesting. I wonder who's going to want those. Those kind of nice banter that we had around the table with that game, which was great. But it feels like such a classic.
Yes.
And I think it has such variability in that box. I mean, there's so many different cards to change the look of your duchy. Obviously, there's like a vineyard type expansion that we haven't delved into yet. So it'd be interesting to see if we're able to play again sometime and sort of delve into that and see what that's included. But I really liked this production. I liked the way that has the like sort of net for the tiles, so everything sort of stays in place. And I mean, personally, I sort of ran forward with those ships and got the sort of first player mark the whole time. So I quite enjoyed having
the extra dice to control.
Yes, having control of the game was quite fun. But I like how when you go into different areas, you're focusing on different things. So each game has got quite a lot of variety, I think, in there. But yeah, this production just looks fantastic for a classic, amazing game anyway.
Yeah, I'll hold my hands up. Quite literally, I was very wrong about this game. When I first played it, I called it Castles of Boindy. What a fool I was,
What a
because
fool.
yes, and I always thought, well, it's dice rolling. That's always a bit random, but I think there's just a sweet amount of kind of dice manipulation in this
There's
with the
so much
workers.
choice with the dice options, particularly earlier in the game or at the
Mhm.
beginning of each round in terms of what you can do with them. So it doesn't feel lucky because of that. Hey.
Yeah. A game I've absolutely loved is Undaunted Battle of Britain.
Mm.
Now, I've had this for a while now, but we've been able to get through a lot of the campaign and see all the different scenarios. And wow, this game gets varied as you play it. Now, I'd never played one of those Undaunted games prior to last year's UK Games Expo when I got my hands on Battle of Britain. And to be honest, I was drawn to the theme because of where we live.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we live obviously on the south coast of England, which is where the Battle of Britain pretty much happened. We grew up surrounded by talk of the airfields where I particularly where I lived, and all of our families had kind of connections to the Battle of Britain.
Yeah, I mean, my granddad flew in it. I think my grandmother's house had a pond that was created from a bomb from the war, and so that sort of period of time. So, yeah, there is quite a connection to that whole war period, and particularly the Battle of Britain being on the channel.
Now, I've never been into kind of war games really, apart from when I was younger and I was playing Warhammer.
Hmm.
But this is so different. It takes a mechanism that I really like, which is deck building, and kind of twists that slightly. So you're using your cards to manipulate the planes around the board while trying to complete your own individual objectives. And I really think it's clever how you're acquiring those cards from your kind of pool of possible cards to
Hmm.
give you more options to control the planes you want to do.
Yeah, it's kind of like a deck filler
Yeah.
more than a deck builder because they're not giving you like loads of extra types of actions and extra new abilities. It's just allowing you to manipulate the things you want more frequently.
Yeah. And I think it's really clever how once you start getting hits, those cards count as your damage.
Mm.
So you start discarding those cards, which in turn has an effect on what you can do with the planes. Because obviously, if you've discarded 2 of your 3 cards, the chance of that coming out in subsequent turns is greatly reduced, which means you
Mhm.
can do less with your certain aircraft.
Which then means that you're more likely, if you've got one that's kind of lame, more likely to get out of communications with its partner plane,
Yeah.
which is going to cause you all sorts of trouble. You might have some trouble turning the plane.
It's so clever how they've carved mechanisms to reflect accurately what the planes did.
Mhm.
They corner so slowly, and if you're on a bombing run and you don't score your hits you need with your dice, oh, this is going to be an absolute pain to do a U-turn and come back and do another bombing run. It's going to take me ages, in which time likely everyone else's opponent planes will be heading straight towards me and gunning me down.
Yeah, there was definitely a few of my turns where one of my planes end up off on a limb somewhere, and I'm sort of sat there looking at it thinking, I can't actually turn this round without leaving the map. I'm going to have to take Discord, or I can't do anything.
And, I like how it is historically inspired but not historically accurate.
Mhm.
So there's certain things that planes can only shoot in a certain direction. I love the fact that one plane can only shoot in diagonals because when it was in the air during the 1940s, they hadn't managed to sync up the rate of fire with the rotation of the propeller.
Propellers, yeah.
So I thought that was just having that little touch in it made it feel more authentic and
Yeah.
accurate.
And great that it gives you a variety that different planes are able to do different
Mhm.
things at the same time. So it's kind of twofold in terms of what it's bringing to the game.
And at the end of the game, the last scenario, you have the Blitz, the Battle of Britain, where you're using all the tiles and all the planes, and it's a very epic conclusion.
Yeah, it's really amazing. And it's a game I think that we'll return to again and again.
Hey buddies, welcome to Amass Games. My name is Simon and today I'm bringing my best of the month for the month of May 2024. This particular game happens to be a solo game. It happens to be a game I have played cooperatively as well, and I have already made some videos for it. This happens to be one of my smallest games I've played that has made my best of the month. It is a button shy game. This is a very new release called The Last Lighthouse. It's received lots of likes as well. And yes, it's a Scott Holmes game. I've made many other videos about Scott Holmes. This is a game involving only 18 cards, of which only 16 you kind of play with.
And yes, it's a 9 out of 10 rating for me, much higher than average. Obviously, my average rating being a 6.39 based on over 2,500 reviews. Now, this is a game whereby it's a kind of tower defense game in some respect. It's a kind of, as I said, a kind of cooperative game as well, whereby you're going to have cards which either represent a trap or, sorry, this represents a nightmare or it represents a trap. Now, the rulebook isn't very clear because it doesn't tell you that actually traps are good. You want these traps. You're trying to stop these nightmares using these traps. And what you're looking to do on your turn is pretty much bring out one of the cards from your hand, and the aim of the game is basically to last until all the cards go from the deck. So once you have got rid of a nightmare, you basically will get it as a trap. So whatever nightmare you have, you'll get it as a trap, and ultimately it's going to go into your hand. Now, I am filming this slightly differently, so it is in HD, but there's a bit of a wobble. I'm aware of that. I do apologise. It's to do with just trying to make sure you do get enough decent audio. So if you happen to finish your turn and maybe you haven't fought off this nightmare, it will be doing damage, 2 to the left, 2 to the right, and it's trying to hit your lighthouse. So it's going to come out to the right-hand side of the board. There's typically 4 cards out as well, with 4 different difficulty levels, of which there's easy, normal, hard, and then nightmare. I haven't tried nightmare yet. I don't know anyone who's actually managed to complete on nightmare. This is just your kind of like Cthulhu kind of card to kind of track your health, and you're moving it along this little track here. So you're going to start on the bottom and work your way up. Personally, I think a player aid, or using this as a player aid, so you can actually see the 5 steps, would be really helpful, and that's why it doesn't get a perfect 10 for me, amongst other reasons. There's other reasons that I did mention, obviously the fact that trap wasn't clearly stated, but aside from that, very impressed. This is in the Simply Solo playlist as well, in terms of solo, and I've also made a playlist as well in terms of for playthrough, so this is in that playthrough playlist as well. Any questions, guys, do let me know as always. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I look forward to bringing you the June, obviously, best of the month. As always, it's a game played in the month that I am recording as well. Hope you found it of interest. What are your thoughts? Have you heard of it? Have you tried it? Do you like solo games? Do you like playing cooperative games solo? Of course, as always, I'm keen to hear, and of course, keen to listen and articulate and adjust to make sure you guys are interested in what you're seeing. But thanks so much for watching. For now, back to the table.
And, well, that about wraps us up. Let me know in the comment section below what game you most enjoyed last month. Was it at UK Games Expo? Was it just at home with friends or wherever? Let us know in the comment section below. And next month I think there'll be some more creators back on because of UK Games Expo. I didn't do like my normal announcements to creators, so only a few people did get in touch and send stuff in. But next month I'm sure we'll be back with loads of people telling you about loads more games. And well, go and check their channels out, the people that were on today's show. Links will be in the description box down below, and go and check out previous best of the months. They're not really timed, they're just sort of fun videos where you can hear about a load of cool games each month. So what's not to love there? Go check that out, and until next month, have a great day gaming.